All right, guys, welcome to our Saturday live. I'm working from the new setup today, so see how things go. Chat set up for you guys. And I'll get some settings changed here for you. So as we get some people in, I will work on some of the visuals here for you guys. I need to make sure that it's the right size for you guys. It's been a lot of trying to set this stuff up behind the scenes, guys. There's a lot to do yet. I am nowhere near ready to go. But we do want to try this stuff out, and we do want to make sure that the stream is coming through nice and clean. It's one thing I can check to see how that's coming. Just checking some stuff, guys, until you start flowing in here. Probably get going on our stream right away as soon as I start getting some chats in. Our stream right away as soon as I start getting some chat. Awesome. Okay, so what I'm doing, guys, is I'm double checking the stream on my live to see if it's coming through nice and clean. I'm also able to check lag and latency, see how long it's lagging behind. So that's what I'm working on right now. Nice to have you in here today. Bill, good to have you in here. So we are working with the new streaming software, guys. That's what we're playing around with today. So basically, I'm deciding to go straight up webcam for you guys so that I can do better quality stuff. Not only that, but I want noise cancellation so I can run my air conditioner that I have. If I do run power tools, I can kind of dial the sound down so it isn't so loud for you guys. Give me thumbs up if the picture's good, the sound is good, if everything is spot on. Give me thumbs up if everything looks really good, guys. Like I said, we're working on a whole new platform and a whole new setup. There is quite a bit more that I have to do yet, but we're going to get there. Also seeing how far behind it is lagging. Seems to be a little bit of latency, so I might have to get rid of my router and plug directly in to my modem. Just get rid of the router altogether. It might give me the best internet signal. All right. Getting a message from my studio, so give me a second here, guys. I need to figure out what's going on here. Okay. Yeah, so I'm getting some latency from my internet. All right, Bill. Thank you for that. So yeah, I'm checking. This new way of doing this allows me to see warnings, which I really like, because the warnings let me kind of see what's going on with the stream and helps me to diagnose everything. All right, guys, so today our live stream is going to be on servicing a 2014 Audi Q7. The reason we're servicing this is it's come due for a service. There is a couple of services that we need to do. One of them is going to be a separate topic because it involves the supercharger. And anytime we deal with the supercharger, we do have to understand that we've got to be very careful, because whatever drops into a supercharger at any of its openings can wind up destroying either the supercharger or the engine itself. So that is one thing that is very specific on how we do it. That's going to be in a video all on its own, because there's a way to do it without pulling the supercharger off the engine to change the oil. If I decide to go this route, it will help us to be able to save a little bit of money. The problem is, if it doesn't work, we're going to be forced to tear the supercharger off. So this could create a snowball effect with this. So what I'd like to start doing, guys, is throwing wrenches up in the chat. So if it's your first time checking out a live, throw some wrenches up in the chat. Mods, if you guys are here, mods always check in, because I'd like to know which mods are kind of monitoring my chat at any given time. So I see that Bill is here. Should be good there. So, all right. What are we doing today? Let's cut to the chase, talk about what we're going to be doing, and then let's go ahead and get into it. Today, we're going to be draining the engine oil. We're going to be changing the air filter. We're going to be topping off all the fluids, and we're going to be able to change the cabin air filter. I'll show you guys these filters because I've already somewhat pulled them out so that I kind of know what I'm dealing with. One of them I had to clean up the air box because the inside of the air box was just completely full of trash. Because of that, I did have to clean that up. So now that I've got that cleaned up, we are ready to rock and roll right into this. Awesome. All right, so let's get into it. I like the new setup because I'm able to just kind of wheel you guys around and be able to explain what's going on. So the first step on any service is you're going to check your lights. Make sure that all your lights are working. That includes headlight, high and low beam, turn signals, clearance lights. If you have fog lights, make sure you check those fog lights down there. So here is our turn signal for the Audi. Headlights are up here. There's clearance lights here, and then there's an orange marker light here. Those are the lights for the Audi, at least in the front. In the rear, you do need to check your rear brakes, meaning that you do need to have something pressed down on the pedal. Show you guys what I use. So you can pick these up at any hardware store, and what these are just stakes that you stick in the ground and you can use it to tie flowers up. My wife has them for gardening, so it works great for that. I've commandeered one of them to press on brake pedals. And what I do is I press this down onto the pedal and I put it into the headrest. So that way it presses down on that brake pedal and I can check my brake lights. Why is this so important? Anytime you guys do a service, you should always check the brake lights, because if they can't see you from behind, you could wind up having somebody plow into the back of you. So it's better to know that your brake lights are working than to second guess it and then find out that they're not working. So pretty important step. Also, you're going to want to check the turn signals back there, license plate lights. Those are really important. And then if you have any side marker lights or clearance lights. Once you check those lights, if you want, you can check your interior lights, dome lights, things like that. If you have those up, replace those. One of them is located underneath the kick shield. where the filter goes for your air conditioner. This one does have a cabin air filter, meaning that it has filtered air that it pushes into the interior. Not all vehicles have this. Audis do, and a lot of newer cars do, including our Kia. So Champagne Bubbles does have a cabin air filter. Crimson Vortec does not have a cabin air filter. Silver Swine does not have a cabin air filter, and neither does Malibu Steel. We just finished Malibu Steel last week, guys. So that was a big project that took several weeks. It was down for quite a long time. But it's out. I'm driving it now. The car is very responsive after doing the timing and a new throttle body, and it runs great. It's getting great fuel mileage, averaging about 34 miles to the gallon, which is pretty stellar out of a larger car like that. The E3 spark plugs are definitely helping, and I would recommend anyone that's going to do a tune-up to put in the E3s. You'll average anywhere from a mile to probably 4 miles to the gallon more just by running the E3 spark plugs. We're not doing plugs in this video. We may do those in a later video for this vehicle, but usually plugs are about 100,000 mile service. This vehicle is closer to 80, so we're getting close, but we're not quite there. They do have some time on this before they really got to worry about doing those spark plugs, but it is one that we will probably have for in the future. Right now, today is just the oil change, the service, and all the stuff that we need to do. So once we've checked our lights, we can do our tire checks before we start doing anything, but we can also start draining our oil. And then when we're draining our oil, we can check our suspension components. A lot of times in a shop, it's important to do multiple tasks at the same time in order to make it profitable. So if you're just doing one at a time, you might actually wind up taking longer to do this than what a shop would, because a shop is using techniques. Let me sit down and show you guys what I'm talking about. All right, so let's talk about this real quick. What do shops do to actually save money? When they're doing an oil change, speed is their key. They want to get that vehicle done and get the next one in as quick as possible. What can happen is things can get missed, such as drain plugs not getting tightened, oil filters not getting tightened, or seals replaced on the oil filter housings. These are important steps that cannot be skipped. So when they are skipping them, this is a shady shop, and oftentimes they're going to have bad comebacks. If somebody blows a motor, that's not good. And when you go to these quick change oil places, some of them are not set up to handle cars like this. This is close to exotic as you can probably get on a budget, meaning that this car has very special service demands that it needs. And we're going to cover that in this video. But some of the stuff that's done at repair shops is not done on the up and up. So they don't check to make sure they're putting the right oil in it, the right coolant in it. Filters are filters, so the better quality you buy, the more pleats it's going to have, the better it's going to filter. Those are pretty much standard across the board. Where it gets tricky is things like brake fluid, engine oil, and coolant. Those are very specific things that you need to have what the vehicle recommends. The reason why is some of the internal components are based off the chemicals that are in those fluids. Meaning, let's break this down for you guys just a little bit. Meaning that if you decide to change your engine oil and you just put a straight conventional oil in it, it doesn't meet the manufacturer specifications. What can happen is you'll burn up the bearings, because what happens is that lubricant isn't the right kind. If it isn't the right kind, it's almost like pouring sandpaper into an engine. Vice versa, if you put oil in there that isn't recommended. So like, let's say we have this would be a European standard oil that you need to run in here. If you decide to run a conventional American oil in it, it won't have the right stuff in it to protect the bearings, meaning that it's like pouring sandpaper into the engine. If you decide to put European oil into an American vehicle, it can have the same effect. So always check the manufacturer specifications. You can do this at a good auto parts store. I do this at Napa because you guys know I'm close enough to a Napa that I can get there and they give me the information that I need. Sometimes you can get them from O'Reilly. You know, it's really good if you're going to start doing maintenance on your own vehicle to get in good with your parts store so that they can take the time to look up what you need, get you the right stuff. Because if you get the wrong stuff, you'll chew up water pump seals if you put the wrong coolant in it. You can chew up head gaskets by putting the wrong coolant in it. It is very, very, very specific. So this is not something you want to mess up when you're doing this. Now, if you're running an American vehicle, most of the time the stuff is built for American vehicles. So you don't have to get too carried away. Where you run into the problems is when you're going towards European brand cars. Those cars are very specific on their maintenance and how the maintenance is done. If you do the wrong oil or the wrong process, you can wreck an engine very quickly. Check the chats here for you guys. Good on the views. So I do like how this new setup is working, guys. This is awesome because this allows me to kind of check things over and make sure that we're sitting really good. So I do like this. I do have to work out the screen share thing, so the news is going to be a little bit different today. But once I figure out screen sharing, we will be doing screen sharing news where I can bring up the articles. We can go over them top to bottom. So at the end, guys, we always go through news, just so you know. And also, as we go through the project, I do take the time to explain things and kind of slow down the project a little bit. All right, so where we're at now is we can now go ahead and start getting our filters out. We can really start, let's see here. Johnny says, this is very helpful. I'm doing an oil change right now. Nice. Good to have you in here, Johnny, on this Sunday. Again, guys, we do this every Sunday at 1 p.m. I do a project, shoot the shit with you guys, and we learn as we go. I do this live, so I don't pre-record videos. I know a lot of people are doing automotive content as pre-record. I don't like pre-record because it's too easy to hide something. It's too easy to cover it up. It's too easy to exclude how long something takes because you're able to cut that part of the video out. I don't like doing that. I like you guys seeing it. If it becomes something that's too jarring and taking too long, then I usually will either stop the video, figure it out, do what I got to do, and come back after I fix the problem if it really drags it down. Yeah, Johnny, oil changes can be very, very messy. I'm going to show you guys a couple of tricks underneath when we get underneath the car to start draining this oil, how you can do this without getting it super messy. One way is to wear gloves that the oil will run off of the glove and not get soaked into. And I'll show you those gloves here in a little bit. There's also something you guys can do too. You can also run the vehicle and get a little heat into the engine. What that does is helps pick up any contamination. So when you pull the plug, you don't want to drain hot oil though, because hot oil on your skin will burn you. So just know it's a whole different way of doing that. Let's go with this. If you guys want to see me drain this oil with some heat in it, give me a 1 right now. If you guys want me to just drain it as we're talking, then I won't fire it up. So 1, if you guys want me to put a little heat into it. 2, if you guys just want me to keep going. Let's see what you guys got to say. So 1, if you guys want me to put a little heat into the engine. 2, if you guys just want me to drain it. Definitely getting some legs. I'm going to be switching some things up for next week. I think I'm going to get the router out of the internet. Connect directly to the motor. So I'm noticing a little bit of latency here. Keep checking back on the stream to make sure that I got good health. Okay, so I don't have anything to kind of go off of, guys, so I'm just gonna kind of base this off of what I would do if I'd be servicing it. Most of the time, people are gonna be driving it in on an oil change. So I'm gonna put a little bit of heat into this engine. I don't wanna get it hot, just want the temperature gauge to start moving. As soon as it starts moving, we're good to start draining the oil. So let me fire that up and we'll let that run for just a bit to get some heat in. Yeah, so I'm letting it run here for a bit. I want to get some airflow into this. I want to get the temperature to come up a little bit. Check chats on this thing's running. Jay, good to have you in here today. Okay, so Jay says the setup for the stream is a bit messed up. Okay, all right, Jay, give me an idea of why it's messed up, because I am trying to watch on a couple of different platforms to kind of understand what's going on. Yeah. All right, so Jay's saying I see a black screen on half, oil change is on the top half. Trying to watch from the phone. Okay, so yeah, I see that, Jay. There's a big black spot in between, correct? That's what you're saying? Yeah, I see that black spot in between there. So I will definitely have to figure out what's causing that and see what I can do to correct that. Yeah, the screen is black. Okay. All right, so I'm adjusting my screen here a bit. Let me know how this works for you guys. All right, guys, we got 86 of you guys in here and only one like. Come on, guys, hit that like button. Let me shut this off. Okay, so we just got a little bit of heat into the engine. We're going to let this run a little bit longer. I'm working on fixing the black spot, but let me know if it's getting better. Yeah. All right, Jay. Thanks for checking in. Check back in. Let me know, guys, in the chat. Let me know if you guys see it now more centered, if it's looking better, or if we're still have a huge black spot on the screen. trying to get it lined up for you guys for live stream. So getting better now. Okay, do we have a huge black spot yet, Jay, or not? No. Now we got a little bit of heat in there. All right. Well, Jay said it's better now, so I'm going to leave it the way it is. If you guys think that the alignment is off, let me know, and I will move it down a little bit more yet. So this is the first day with this software, guys, so I'm really kind of working on getting this lined up for you. There is, the way that this is set up is so that you guys can watch this on your phones and have better quality. So that's what I'm working on. So it does look good now. I know that there's a black spot in there, but you guys will have to let me know if it is centered in the stream for you guys. I don't want this to be too jarring. So I did bring it down a little bit so you guys didn't have as much, it didn't look as much of a split. This is you guys' first time checking out one of my live streams. Make sure you guys throw a wrench up in the chat. My mods are here to kind of help you guys with your questions. So go ahead and filter those questions in, and they will help. Get those read for you guys, and we'll get them. I don't ask for super chats. If you guys want to give them, that's great. But I don't force super chats. I read all questions I read on screen, unless they're obviously offensive. I read everything on screen so that we can discuss it and help you guys with your own projects. Just checking a few more things here. Set this all new software. I know the bit rates are a little off. I'm wondering if that's because of my modem. So I will have to work on that for the future, guys. But what's important to me is to see that you guys have really good video right now. We're doing this to kind of help you guys have a better experience. Oh, question chatted in. What are we working on? We are working on an Audi 2014 Q7. So this is the wagon style. This would be good for anything that has the 3.0 supercharged engine. This vehicle does have a supercharger. We will be doing some supercharger work to it here in the very near future. So we do have quite a bit coming for that. Just make sure that everything looks centered, guys. So all right, showing 47 of you guys in here and only 3 likes. Come on, guys, get those likes up for me. We do this live every Saturday. I'm trying to get the engagement up so I can bring you guys merch and stuff like that. So it's important for us to get the likes and the subscribes. That's how these videos get pushed, is through chat and likes. The subscribes helps me build the channel so I can get a store built and do other things for you guys too. So we're doing a lot of different stuff this year. We're really trying to grow the channel and do more with it. Oh, question, are you a master technician? Okay, so I've talked about this in the past, especially with my previous background. So I've owned my own shops. I've hired master mechanics. I've hired people off the street. I've done both. I've seen how both work. The reason I do my stuff now on my own is it's just easier for me to control any of the liability factors. So I just do a lot of my own work, just doing this part-time as a side thing. I went to school for auto body technician. I was in the auto body field for a very long time. I learned from my dad, who was a master tech, how to work on cars. I started when I was 13 years old. I've been in it a long time, close to 3 decades. So I've seen many things come and go. I've watched the fuel injection systems become more and more and more heavier as time has gone on. Am I a certified tech? No, guys. I'll flat out tell you right now, I'm not a certified tech. And the reason I don't necessarily take the certifications into consideration is because people that have real world experience actually can do better than the ones that just come out of a book learning school. If you're just learning this by book, you're not going to get it. This is a trade. It's got to be hands-on. You got to be able to put your hands on the vehicle, do the things that need to be done, and get them done. And that's, like I said, I've hired certified techs in my own shops. And I've seen it just go completely sideways because they can't do it based on what the book told them. So they weren't able to get the job done effectively, and they took twice as long to do it. Where I was able to bring in people that had been around cars their whole life. They knew cars inside and out, and they were able to do it in half the time. So this is not a knock on certified technicians. It's not. There is a place and a time to learn, especially if you don't come from growing up with somebody who was a mechanic, that brought you up into the life. That's different. You know, those people are going to have a head start. It's just the way it is. If you have to go to a school to learn this trade, you got to start somewhere. But it always has to start with you getting your own hands on the vehicle. That's where I push the line. So hopefully that answers your question. So we'll go with that. 47 of you guys in here today. Awesome, awesome. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Let's get up to 10 likes, guys. So you are definitely a legit technician, 100% respect. Thank you, sir. Jay, good to have you back in here. So yeah, I've been in it a long time. I've put in the work, the blood, sweat, and tears. Cut myself up many times. I wear the battle scars on my wrists and on my hands and my knuckles. It's one of those things. And when you do this long enough, you're going to have those things happen. It happens to everybody. The biggest thing is just make sure that you can kind of protect yourself when you can. There are some things that are extremely dangerous, and when we run across those, when we're working on projects, I'll explain those dangers. Having tensioners that are preloaded on the front of an engine can be very dangerous. In fact, I consider those more dangerous than replacing a strut. If you're replacing a whole assembly, a strut assembly with the spring mounted on it, there is no danger. The danger comes in when you want to release that pressure. And here's where people make a mistake. And guys in the shop have been hurt by using spring compressors because it adds more pressure to that spring when it compresses it. And if they have to take it out, what happens is if they don't have the knowledge to take it out and they put an impact on it and try to buzz it off, it'll pop out of the spring and cause that spring to go flying. Aim high, one of my mods, actually my editor. If you don't see the like button on your screen, it may be under the menu where there is 3 dots. Click the 3 dots and it should be there. Correct. Awesome. Yep. So, streaming right now. Click the 3 dots up in the corner for the mobile device. It should give you the option to like. Okay? So I need to figure out a way that I can add that like button down there for you guys. That's something that I'm working on. Again, always, if you guys are new here, wrenches up in the chats. Let's see your wrench emojis. Let's keep the chat moving. Jay says, seems better now. Okay. If there's any spot that's cut off, Jay, let me know. But I need the video to be nice and clear and looking good. There's going to be some black probably on the top part and the bottom part because my background is black and I'm streaming from mobile device. So it's not going to be a huge display like it was. We're downsizing this so that it's better for mobile streaming. Jay Wrench is up in the chat. Awesome, awesome. Popo says, wow, that is scary. Technician people needs more higher paying careers like doctors. Definitely respect to the tech world. Yeah. Technicians are one of those where we put our bodies on the line. We beat ourselves up to be able to make a living. It's one of those things. It's why I've owned shops. I've worked on cars. I do a lot of stuff at my own pace so that I can kind of protect my body as much as possible. If I was doing this as a full-time shop, I would be tearing my body up constantly. It is a very physically demanding field, and it puts a lot of stress on mechanics' bodies, especially if they're doing it old school like we do it here in the garage. What I do this so that I can show you guys how to work on cars without having fancy tools. Because when it comes down to it, and you guys are going to do these repairs, if I'm using a whole bunch of tools that you guys can't get your hands on or are so expensive that you can't do the job yourself, then you guys aren't going to do it. Where if I can show you with basic hand tools how to do a lot of this stuff, you guys will have the knowledge when you guys want to change an air filter or a cabin air filter or drain your own oil. I'll show you guys what to look for. All the little hidden tricks that technicians already do, you can do at home and save yourself that money. Imai says, but costs are expensive already. Yeah, and see that's the other issue is when we raise the money that the technicians are getting, it doesn't always go to the technicians. Oftentimes it goes to the service shop or it goes to a dealership. Dealership rates are ridiculous, but they're not always passing that money down to the techs. So the techs are working on a book rate, meaning they're given a certain amount of time to do things. They need to knock it out in that time. And if they don't get it in that time, that runs into problems. So in order to stay active in a shop, you need to be able to beat book rate. This is why in my shops, I never ran book rate. I ran people by the hour because it was an honest way to make a living. Plus, I would know that they would not be looking for shortcuts. That could wind up costing me money. When you're doing an oil change and you take a shortcut, like not tightening a drain plug, you blow up a motor, now all of a sudden you have a huge bill. And this is not how you want to run a shop. You don't want to be pushing people to that absolute breaking point where things break. And that's really what this is about. Having a lot of chat interaction today, guys. This is awesome. I'm loving the new stream setup that we've got going. And it looks like I do have everything kind of centered. You guys are liking where the video is placed on the screen. So this is awesome. There's only one other way I could probably do this. I could probably move my chats from my sidebar over to underneath the video, but I got to play with that some other time. Jay says, I'll get used to this new setup. Yeah, I'm still modifying and playing with it. So hopefully we'll get things kind of repositioned here. What I'll probably do is want to keep my stream closer to the top. And then I'll bring more chats in so we can read more chats. Because as you guys start throwing wrenches up and stuff, the chat might move pretty fast. And I don't want to miss when people ask questions. Amai says, the more we have to pay people the more we are slaves to our job, which is absolutely correct. This is a good point. Is the more that we raise how much we're doing for everything, it causes a ripple effect. Meaning that if all of a sudden now mechanics are making $40 an hour, now people that are at Burger King want to make $30 an hour. All of this has a trickle-down effect. So we have to find a happy medium across the board. Now, I do feel that trade stuff should be paid better. I don't argue that at all. People that are in the trades should be paid better. They should be able to support a family. They should be able to not have to have a second income to buy basic things like food and housing and stuff like that. So that's the main point, is we need to be able to hopefully get things restructured around to where people can live a normal life and not be a slave to their job. You become a slave to your job when you're required to work 60 hours a week, when you still can't make it and you got to have a second income. A lot of that has to do with taxes and how those taxes are pushed out on us. Some states are better, some states are worse. I'm not going to start getting into the politics of that because that is a huge conversation. But just those factors alone need to weigh into everything you're doing. If you decide to get into the automotive field, make sure that you understand what the shop are doing and what they're going to push you to do so that you can understand the direction you want to take. Not everyone is cut out for the automotive field. Not everyone wants to be a technician. Technician is a hard job. You oftentimes start out as an oil change or a quick lube. It takes you a while to get into being able to do more major stuff. And oftentimes you'll only get one or two chances at it before, if you mess something up, that they're not going to give you a chance at it. They're going to bring you back down, and then you're forced to get a different job. So it's a tough industry to get into. It really is. Jay says we went all the way down from 80 to 15 views now. Oh man, that's not good. I'm still showing 47 on mine. Only 3 likes, guys. Get the likes up, guys. We're going to get into this project here in a little bit. I want to get this oil drained. I'm going to get these chats caught up, and then we're going to get into this. I got a little heat into the engine. You guys saw me start it up. Zoidberg says people shouldn't make 18 an hour working on an assembly line at an auto manufacturing plant. Okay, so let's debunk that one right now. I can tell you people working on assembly lines are making more than I am as a professional truck driver with a hazmat driver's license. They make a lot of money. Anyone who works for the major people make a lot of money. So if you're working for Ford, Dodge, Chevy, Toyota, Kia, if you're working in their assembly lines, you're making great money. You have a pension, you have a retirement. The unions have pushed too hard in that area to where the manufacturers are raising the price on cars. So that's what I talk about by this balance. If we're all of a sudden paying the people that assemble our cars this much, they're raising the cost of the cars this much so that they're still making a profit. Now, is there some price gouging from the top end? There could very well be. There is no mistake that I think the top 3 are definitely price gouging when they sell a car. Don't get me wrong, you still have to have money for the dealerships to make money so that they can keep selling cars and keep the lights on and pay the salespeople and pay the technicians. I get that. But there's also a point of diminishing return where all of a sudden we're charging more for a product and people can't buy it. And I would say the past 4 years, that has definitely been the problem. And some of it is just poor taxes, is what it is. It comes down to we're just being taxed to the high heavens. I know this isn't the oil change topic today, guys, so let me finish up these chats and we'll get back into it. Less government, then costs are lower. Correct. Housing, education, healthcare. These are all factors. Aim High is right on spot with this. This is the whole reason that things cost so much, is the government gets involved. Anytime government gets involved, prices go up. I know I'm probably going to get throttled for this on my channel here, guys, because they don't like me talking about this stuff at all. But it's something where we do got to tell the truth. Yeah, my current view count is down probably because I'm getting into some political topics. But I do like that it's going good here, guys. I like how everything is. All right, 7 chats or 7 likes. Awesome, awesome. Guys, get the likes up because that's what helps us stay up on our live stream. That's what helps keep us moving here. So like and subscribe if you guys are new here. Jay says fast food people can't compare it to an auto technician. People paid auto technicians should be paid like doctors. Here's the problem. Doctors have to have a lot of schooling. They have a lot of liability, a lot of risk. Technicians dodge that by going underneath a shop, meaning that most repair shops have to carry a certain amount of liability insurance to protect them if they wreck a car. That being said, they don't have the same risk as a doctor. They also don't have as much schooling as a doctor, which also means not as much indoctrination as a doctor. Just said a bad word on YouTube, so hopefully this doesn't smoke the stream. But do I think they should be getting paid better? Yes. Do I think there's price gouging going on? Absolutely. Do I think we should be getting paid as much as somebody who spends 8 years going to college and runs all the liability risk if something goes wrong? No, I don't think it should be that high. But we should be able to afford the basics: housing, food, all of that, without having to rely on other income. We shouldn't have to rely on a two household income. It shouldn't be that way. And 4 years ago, it started getting to that point over the last 4 years that you almost needed 3 incomes to make it. I know a friend of mine that was living with another friend and his wife because that was the only way all 3 of them could make it. It should not be that way. Should not be that way. And again, it all comes down to taxes. It really does. Got a lot going on in here in the chat. Jay says, oh my God, back up here. There's a few more. Jay says it's been an issue for the past 4 years. Yes, it has, because taxation has gone through the roof. That's exactly what it is. We're just, middle class is being taxed out heart and soul. They can't make it. Cost for people living needs to be lower. Doctors should be getting paid less as well. Yeah, if here's the thing, is if everyone took a pay cut across the board and everything came down to where it would be more affordable, that's one thing. But you have to ask yourself, who's getting greedy and who doesn't want to take that pay cut? Because when you ask the average person, they're not going to want to take a pay cut. Middle class, because of how much they're being taxed, they can't take a pay cut. Because if they take a pay cut, they're going to be the only ones taking the pay cut. And all you're going to do is kill your middle class. So it's one of those things where either it has to be level across the board and brought down, or there has to be a leveling in the market to where it says, okay, you can't push to this level. And I think as taxes come down, it could bring everything down with it, but that takes time. Yep, 30 years ago, things were a lot cheaper. Also, you didn't make as much money. So somebody would go to work and they would work a whole day and make $1 or 10 cents, depending on what it is. Yeah, you might have only paid $3,000 for a car. Also didn't have all the technology, the gadgets, and all the flashy stuff that we have now. And that's some of the problem when it comes to the automotive, is we've chased the flashy and we've gotten away from what is actually a car. We want the technology, but not the vehicle. Chevy 5-speed. Hi, good to have you in here on this Sunday. All right, guys, we're going to get back into this. So we've got this warmed up now, and we're ready to go ahead and pull the oil. Before we pull oil, we're going to need a few things. So we're going to need a creeper to lay on, and we're going to need an oil catch can. So I do know that this vehicle has 7.2 quarts of oil in it. I don't want to grab an oil can that only holds 6 because I'm going to overflow it. Meaning that I do have to grab my 10-quart oil catch can. What I'm going to do is drain it into that, and then I can start pouring oil back in it. I don't have to do the filter while I'm under there because the filter is on top on this car. This is one of these oil bath filters. Guys, I've talked about these oil bath filters ad nauseum. I hate them because they don't actually force oil through the pleats in the filter, meaning that the oil just takes a bath in there and there is no pressurized oil in that area. And if it isn't pressurized, you're not going to get good filtration. This is also why oil is very specific on what oil you put into it. When we're ready to dump oil in it, you guys are going to see just how specific we have to get in order to make sure the right oil is in it. Now let me slide everything underneath, and then I'll bring you guys underneath here in just a bit. So push you guys back for just a second. Grab everything. So this is my 10-quart pan. I can put 10 quarts of used oil inside this. It works great. And awesome enough about this, it comes with a spout, so I can dump whatever's in here back into the jugs and then dispose of the oil at, okay, let's get into that. You're gonna do your own oil changes. Where are you gonna go with your used oil? Let's talk about this for a little bit. Once you guys have drained the oil from your new jugs, you can pour the used oil back into the 5-quart jugs. That's these. Okay? So you pour the oil back into here. Easiest way to get rid of this, oftentimes, is take it to the auto parts store that you shop at. Most of them either have an oil heater or are on an oil recycle program. Meaning that all you have to do is take this in, write it down, dump it into their bin, and then you can recycle your jug. Some of them will take the jugs, and you don't need to worry about it. So if you're in good enough with them, you can just give them the jugs, they'll dump the oil, and then recycle the jug. So that's how you can get rid of your waste oil. Otherwise, if you decide that you're going to have your own little garage and you live in a cold climate, you could put in an oil heater versus a natural gas or propane heater. You could do an oil burner instead. Anyone that has oil burners will take that oil because that's free heat to them. So if nothing else, find even a semi repair shop or somebody that repairs semis. They will take that oil because most of the time they're going to have an oil burner because they go through so many oil changes on a semi and they go through so much oil that they will have a burner because it's an additional free heat. So little inside tip to help you guys out. Jay, good to have you back in here. Aim High asks, you think high-end vehicles would have a better system? Or maybe that was more of just a statement, but okay, yes. Here's the thing, high-end vehicles are made for luxury. They're not necessarily made for convenience of working on them. So the technicians oftentimes have to go through additional steps. Also, German engineered vehicles and European made vehicles are designed on a very high level maintenance program, meaning that it is crucial that you do maintenance when they're telling you to. This has been a problem in the industry for a very long time. Unfortunately, there's no way around this because this is how they're building the vehicles. They're choosing to use certain bearing materials, certain plastics, certain head gasket material. These materials require certain chemicals to get the longevity out of the vehicle. This is the downside to this whole setup with the European and luxury vehicles. So hopefully that kind of gives you guys an insight. And when you're buying vehicles like this, understand that your maintenance cost is higher. Anytime you buy an import vehicle, your costs are always going to be higher. Even on the Kia, costs are going to be higher because oftentimes the car is made cheaper, meaning that you're going to have more parts problems. It's going to be harder to get parts. It's going to be harder to maintain. You're going to need specialty tools. You guys are going to see specialty tools that we need when we do the belt system on this. I've already got some of the tools here, and some of them are on order. Aim high. Yeah. Honestly, Europe is a failed country. Enough with politics. Let's get into this. Okay, so I'm checking a few things, see if I have all of the right pieces. There is one oil change nut. And I may have to get a different socket for it because it requires a filter to have a 36 millimeter. This is a huge socket. This is an axle socket. We're using an axle socket to take our filter housing off. This is insane. This shouldn't be this. None of your business. None of your business chatted in. I prefer old classic cars. You and me both. So, not knowing what's underneath this vehicle, I bring a ratchet always to verify which way I need to turn it so I'm not snapping off the drain plug or over tightening it and stripping it out. I'm also going to bring an assortment of wrenches underneath with me, starting with a 17, a 15, a 14, and a 13. These are the most common that you will find on drain plugs. Most European cars are going to be metrics. Pretty sure they all are. And not only that, but most American vehicles are starting to go metric as well. Meaning that you're better off grabbing your metrics, leave the standards in the drawer. I touch standards maybe twice a year at most. Most of the time it's all metric. So everything really kind of has gone metric. That being said, there might be something special going on underneath there. We're about to find out. Yeah, I wish I could afford a nice classic car. You guys already know my top two favorite cars, Chevelle and a Camaro. I would choose the Chevelle, probably 70 to 72 all day long. Beyond that, it would be a Camaro, especially if I go with anything newer. If I go new, I would definitely want it to be a Camaro. I would consider a Mustang, but it's going to have to be a higher end Mustang. It's going to have a manual. It's going to have, either a Coyote or a souped up motor. It can't be just a basic Mustang. I would not like it at all. All right. All right, so now I'm gonna get you guys down here. So this is the trick of doing live streams, guys. You do have to do some camera manipulation. So let me get you guys down there. All right, so I got you guys down there right now. Ford Mustang's a crowd killer. Yeah. We've all seen the videos. Oh. All right, so it looks like we have a shield to take down in order to gain access. So I'm gonna need a ratchet and looks like a 10 mil. Shame. Probably because the Ford Mustang drivers don't know how to drive. Yep, guys, make sure you guys hit the like button. This is where the fun begins because this is a problem that mechanics run into. A simple oil change. And when I say simple, I mean simple. We should have access to a drain plug underneath here. We should not have to pull these shields out of the way in order to do an oil change. But the way that they have these set up, we don't have a choice. We have to pull them. And I can already tell where the drain plug is going to be because there's oil on the shield. So this is what takes a simple oil change and turns it into an absolute nightmare because now you have to pull skid plates. Toyota is no better, guys. My Toyota Tacoma has 2 shields and one of them at least has to come off to change the filter. Oftentimes I wind up pulling both of them, which is why that truck usually only gets a once-a-year oil change. And somebody put the wrong size bolts in that one. That one got the wrong size bolt. That shows me that during the oil change service, somebody took a shortcut. try 8mm on those. Kind of looks like somebody cut a corner, put the wrong size bolts back in it. This is the problem with quick change oil change places, guys. When they do your service, they're just in a hurry to get this thing out, and they don't care, or they skip, or they lose them, and then they don't get the right bolts put back in it. Okay, I'll show you guys what's going on here. So these are what was in there right here. He's got a huge washer on it. This is what they put in there, meaning that there isn't a very big washer on it. That was done because somebody lost the original bolts. Okay, so now that I've gained access, I'm looking in here, seeing where my oil pan is, where my drain would be. And I found it. So I need to pull some torque. Are these torque? Yeah, they're torque. So there are torque bits located right along here. These have to come out because this shield has to come out and back. This is the shield we have to pull, not the back one. All right. So to do these, I have a torque bit set. I'll bring this down so I can see some of the chats going on, guys. When I'm not staring at the computer, I can't see you guys' chats. All right, yep. If this is the first time you guys tuning in, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit the subscribe. We do this every Sunday at 1 p.m. We're in the process of building this channel up this year. We hope to get a lot done and hopefully bring you guys some merch and some other stuff. Also got a lot of projects coming, guys. So what you guys are seeing today is just one project of a few that this customer has asked me to do. So as long as the customer is okay with how much it's costing to repair an Audi, we got a lot more that we're going to do for them. So we got 4 across the front. They've removed some clips on this bumper already, meaning that in order to get at this for the oil change, they've already removed a bunch of stuff. And that stuff that they removed might be where they're going to have problems here. So we're gonna get this all off of here. We're gonna look at where there's fasteners missing, why there's fasteners missing, see if we can't find ways to simplify this. These are all done this way to keep these from falling and flapping on the ground. That's why there's an overlap to these. This is something that a lot of places won't show you. So this piece overlaps this one. The reason for that is when the wind comes this way, what it's going to do is cause the wind to blow across here, hit here, and come down. If this piece was on top of this, the wind would hook between these two panels and push this panel down. If that happens, you're going to wind up tearing off all of your skid plating underneath your car. That's how all of these skid plates are designed, is that they interlap so that this plate is behind the front plate. The front plates are always coming down more. So the front plate covers the next plate, and the same is back there. Like I said, if you did it the other way, the wind would hook the plates and break them. All right, so that fell down. Now I have to look to see if there's any other hardware in here. I've got one over here that's not doing anything because it's broken on the plastic that holds it in place. So we will take a look at that clip after. I've got one in this upper corner here. So we're gonna go for this one. All right, so now this skid plate is down and out. We can remove this out of the way. And we can look at some of our mounting locations here on this bumper. Okay, so it looks like they're clipping from the back side. All right, so now what I'm going to do is locate my engine where my pans are. This one might have more than one oil pan, guys. That's how some of these work. Some of these have a dual split oil pan setup. Some of them only have one oil pan, one oil plug, drain plug. So this one has one oil drain plug, and unfortunately it runs right through the frame. So ugly design. When we pull this plug, it's going to make a mess. Okay. So I'm going to grab a flashlight so I can figure out if that's a torque for that drain plug. This is what I'm concerned about, guys. Because when auto manufacturers use these kind of drain plugs, there is a chance that you're going to strip this drain plug out, and it kind of looks like it's been rounded once or twice. So well, this might be a situation where this repair just got a whole lot more expensive. We're going to try. What I mean we're going to try, we're really going to try. Get this drain plug out, and hopefully we don't twist or round it. I also don't want to destroy my torque bits, because I don't People have rounded this off, and I'm wondering if it's because they used an impact to put this on, which is something you don't do. Again, signs of a quick change oil place doing shoddy work. Okay, so I found the right torque bit that fits in there. It is a T40. Here's what's going to happen, guys. Here's exactly what's going to happen. We're going to take this plug loose. I'm going to drain this oil. This shield ain't going back on, and we're not pouring oil in it today until I buy a new drain plug. Because I will not do this to a customer. We know we have a bad drain plug. The last thing I'm going to do is put a car back together with a bad drain plug. And what pisses me off is this was a different shop that did this. We got lucky, guys. We got very, very lucky. The plug came loose. So we just saved this customer a bunch of money, but this isn't the end of it. So what I'm going to do is get this oil draining, which is messier than hell. All right. So we're going to drain this oil. We're going to let it go into our catch can. I'm going to get this cleaned up and get this off of here, and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. And apparently it got a little colder than I was planning, so the oil isn't exactly warm. Better to do it when there's a little bit of heat on the oil, but you don't want it super hot. As you guys saw, it gets all over. It does get messy. All right, what I'm doing, guys, that you guys don't see me doing right now is I'm cleaning everything up. And I'm trying to get the torque bit off. Because I really want to show you guys how bad this socket looks. All right, make sure you guys are hitting that like button, that subscribe button. We do this every Sunday at 1 p.m. Central. Got it. All right, so I'm going to set you guys up here. We're going to get moved up. Because I do have to stop this oil change process, and I'm going to explain why here in just a minute. We're not done by any means though, guys. We're going to do the rest of this oil change service. We're just not going to pour oil in. All right, guys. Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna move you guys back. All right, let me clean up my hands for just a bit here, guys. We'll get through some chats. You guys got something chatted in. I'm gonna explain what just happened and why we're gonna put a stop to this repair. This is really important if you guys are working on your own cars at home. You gotta pay attention to the condition of the drain plug. If for any reason that drain plug looks sketchy, don't put it back in. Get a ride to an auto parts store, get a different plug. I could get one today, but I can also wait and get one on Monday. It won't impact the rest of this service. And I got time through the week. I could probably finish up to where we'd be ready to do the belts next week anyway. So let me get cleaned up and I'll explain just what happened. All right, guys, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Be checking all of that here in just a bit. All right, guys. So now that we're sitting down here, now we can have this conversation. All right. So if you guys are working on your own cars, your own driveway, and you've never done the oil change before, it would be a good idea to pick up a brand new drain plug. I'm about to explain why this is so important. Number two, you're also going to need a new crush seal. This is basically a piece of aluminum that is crushed that seals off the oil pan. Here's the problem. This is a torque bit. Somebody has put the wrong torque bit in here and has stripped it out because they've over-tightened it. Luckily, I was able to jam a bigger size in there and get it to loosen up. I got really lucky that this came out. The alternative was I would have to pull the whole pan. Now on this car, you can pull the pan without having to pull the motor, but it's going to be a lot more expensive. And you have to locate an oil pan to replace it with. You also have to reseal it to the block. I don't want to do any of that. So this coming out was super lucky, and I'm so glad that it did. Now that this came out, what I can focus on is getting a new plug, getting a new crush ring, putting this back together, and putting the oil back in it. I can't do that until I get that plug. This is the problem that we run into anytime quick change oil places are doing your service. This happens more times than I care to talk about. Just checking a few things here. So we got 26 of you guys in here and only 8 likes. Guys, hit that like button. We are trying to build this channel this year. We need your help. We need you guys to support the channel. So hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button really does help. Engaging in the chat is another great way. We don't ask for super chats, but if you guys give them, we definitely read them on screen. And I appreciate all super chats. If you guys really like my content and you want to become members, click that join button down below. If you guys click the join button, you guys will go into our members only area, which gives you different options to become a member. That allows you guys more access to more stuff. As we start building that members only area, I'm going to start doing a lot more stuff that is tailored just towards the groups inside the members area. which does include special live streams and discount on merch when we start bringing the merch. So if you guys really support us, if you guys really want to see us grow, help support us by joining the members only. Aim High says, support the mechanics who do a good job, worth the money. Yes, guys, here's the thing. When you find a good shop, one that spots stuff like this, you want to go to those shops. You want to go to the ones that, let's say you take this in for a service. It's covered under warranty. If you take it to a shop, they do the repair under warranty, but they don't tell you that a seal next to where they were working is bad and that they would have to pull the whole thing back apart to fix that seal. If they don't call you and at least ask you whether or not you want that fixed, bad shop. Bad shop, do not go there. I can give you an example. This customer had a Yukon. That Yukon was on this channel. The Yukon had a transmission grenade on it. They pulled the transmission, they put a reman transmission in it, and did not tell the customer that the rear main seal on the back of the engine was pouring oil. Because they didn't tell that customer that it was pouring oil, what happened was once the transmission went back in, it started dumping even more oil because the seal got disturbed. So not only did they have a leak prior, but they also had a leak that got worse after the transmission service. Because it wasn't part of the transmission, it wasn't covered under warranty, and they didn't bother to call the customer. This is how you spot a bad repair shop. When they don't take the time to call you and tell you what's going on, you don't want to go there. This would be another prime example. How many oil changes has this thing gone through where this was stripped out? And because they could fit a torque on there, they put it on there and retorqued it anyway. This could cause massive repair bills. This could run you $300-400 real fast because they can't get this drain plug out. Just to do an oil change, that's probably going to already run you $200 on a European car. All right, guys, get those likes up, get those subscribes up. Let's see some wrenches down in the chat. So, everybody throw some wrenches up. Let's see that chat start moving, guys. I just dropped some fire knowledge for you guys. Let's get the chat flying. Let's get the likes up. Yeah, come on, guys. There's 26 of you in here, only 8 likes. Let's get to 10. We can do it. Thank you for that comment, Aim High. Thank you. Just checking a few things on my other side. Yeah, only 8 likes, guys. Let's get to 10. $31 of you guys in here. Welcome. You guys are new here. Throw some wrenches up down below. Become part of the chat. My mods are in here. They'll help answer questions, and they will make sure that your questions get seen, and I will read them. Scrolling back up to check any chats as of right now. All right. Where are we at on the likes, guys? Like I said, let's keep the likes up. Come on, guys. 2 more likes is all I'm asking for, just to keep the likes above 50%. We need to keep that engagement up. That's how our channel gets pushed out in the algorithm. Got to keep the likes up. Got to keep the chat going. Let's get those up right now. I need 2 more, and then we're going to keep going on with this project. So while we're talking about this, let's talk about why I have to stop this project. So I could put this back in. Here's the problem. The next person who's going to do the oil change, which is more than likely me, I will have to contend with this stripped out bolt. I don't want to do that. Not only that, let's say they decide to take a road trip somewhere, and then this gets stripped out while they're on a road trip. What's going to happen is it's going to wind up costing my customer a lot of money for something that I did and was able to get out of the vehicle. We can get a drain plug if this is much cheaper than replacing a whole oil pan. So when we get to these points and we have these things, it's smarter to put new bolts in it with new seals. Don't have a leak. That means I will not be putting the drain plug back in and dumping the oil in, but we will talk about the issue with the oil. And this is an issue with foreign vehicles. Doesn't matter the fact that it's an Audi. There's other brands that are just as bad as Audi. Some of them are included in what you put into the vehicle for coolant. I'll show you guys a jug here. All right, come on guys, get those likes up. The likes up so I can continue. Got one more to go. We're at 9. Let's get to 10. Let's keep it at a 50% engagement, guys. Aim High says, does this vehicle need a special drain plug? Yes and no. So the threads on this drain plug are probably a standard thread. You could get these threads on a normal bolt. The problem is that there is a weird design on the base of this bolt, and that is for the oil seal itself. So I do have to go to an auto parts store and get this specific drain plug because somebody stripped out the torque bit inside here. This happens when people put this stuff on with an impact, because these are impact round off marks on the inside of here. All right, so let's cover European specific fluids. We're going to do this in this video. We're going to get everything else put together on this video, get this thing back together, minus putting the oil in it. I will put the oil in it later on this week after I've bought the new drain plug, put the new seal on it, put it back in, and torqued this to spec. Find the torque specs online. You can find them anywhere. Type in what the vehicle is, the motor size, and torque spec for oil drain plug. Give you a torque spec. We'll get that torqued back in. The reason we torque those so that they don't come out. I also marker pen these when I do them so that I know whether or not they've been tampered with. I marker pen them, that way I know that they're in there and they're right. So here's what we have. Anytime you deal with these brands, you deal with specific fluids. This is Audi, Mercedes-Benz, VW, and Porsche. So these are the main European brands, and when you're dealing with European vehicles, get very specific on what they want in their chemicals. So this one has a label on the back side that says engine specifics right here. This column. That column. There is a bunch of codes. LOL backwards. Yeah, I got to figure out how I can switch that around for you guys. Supposedly there's a way I can flip that. Yeah, I don't know how to do it, and I don't want to mess up the stream right now. There is a way, guys, that I can flip my camera so that you guys aren't reading it backwards, but I will have to work on that. So where are we at for likes, guys? All right, we're still at 9 likes. Let's get one more. One more, and then we're going to get back into the project. Right now, I'm explaining what's going on and the problems that you have when you buy these brands. So these brands require very specific material in them, meaning that the chemical formula of this coolant is very specific to these brands. If you put anything else in it, you're going to risk damaging internal components, head gaskets, water pump seals, hoses, and bearings. So oil also has the same thing with it as the coolant. Again, I got what was required for this vehicle from my auto parts store. This coolant is required to have the VW 774J. That's what has to be in here. So that is their specification for this coolant. If it doesn't have the J, you can't put it in this car. Now they make a 44 or 774G. The G is not the same. J is a different formula, but this does have both in it. So usually I buy this brand because they are the closest to manufacturer specifications. This is why I use this. All right, to cover the oil, let me grab one of those. All right. Yeah, AMI made a good point there. If you want to own a car, you need to be able to afford the maintenance. And just getting the car is only one step of it. The maintenance is the other. So it requires a 540. Again, guys, I know it's backwards. I'm going to work on that for you guys. I'm going to see if there's a way I can switch my webcam so that you guys can see this. Trying to see. All right, I don't want to play with this on stream. I will play with this off of stream. Sorry about this for today, guys. I really need to play around with the software. But 1540 is what you need for the Audis. In an Audi, they do require a little bit higher viscosity, and this is done to protect the internals of the engine. Also, you need the European blend. On the European blend, it must meet a VW requirement because most Audis are built on a VW platform. So you're going to see VW and Audis pretty much in the same realm. Audis are considered the more higher end of the VW line. This explains why we see a lot of VW stuff appear on Audis. So this requires a 502 oil. So this is required. And you have to look down here on these synthetic oils to make sure that it has the right blend in it. That blend means that it is custom tailored for your bearings. Without that, it'll burn up the engine. Check a few things here. All right, guys, come on, one more like. That's all I'm asking for. Aim High says, read your owner's manuals. Yes, that is a great place to find information, but not all of your service information can be found in your owner's manual. Fortunately, they are very vague about these. So sometimes your maintenance you have to find at either a shop or at your auto parts store. Make sure you ask them if you're getting the right stuff. If you buy European cars, make sure that it says European on it, because that is the quickest way to decide whether or not it's going to work for your car. Understand the makes and models that you buy. Understand the parts that you put in them. These are all very, very important factors. All right, guys, check the likes we got so far. Yes, Aim High is right. Make sure you do homework on what you own. Make sure you do the research. Make sure you figure out what it is and what the maintenance cost is before you buy it. This is what they don't tell you. Automotive industry wants to sell you a nice flashy car. They don't tell you the maintenance that goes along with it and the maintenance cost that it's going to cost you. People who lease a car will take it to the dealership, get their oil changes done. When the lease is up, they give the car back. Sometimes they will cut corners and take it to a quick lube change place to get their oil changes done. That's where drain plugs get rounded off. That's where the improper oil gets put in it. That's where wrong coolant gets put in it. That's where all the problems start, is once you start going to some of these alternative places to get your stuff fixed. The people that don't have the knowledge or are not willing to take the time to put the right stuff in it to keep it so that it lasts. Because this is the point. When we spend $60,000 or more for a car, we need that car to last. 10 years is a short time now in the automotive world. If a car can't make it 10 years, it was a bad design. That being said, you put the wrong stuff in it, it isn't going to last 10 years. It might last 4. Most leases are usually 3. That being said, if they've been doing the wrong thing in the vehicle since they got it, and now all of a sudden they trade it back in for another lease vehicle, you could be looking at putting a motor in it. These are things to know when you're going to buy a car. I've talked about this in other videos, especially in the used car buying guide. Guys, I did a whole video on it about buying used cars. Let me see if I can grab that link and drop it for you guys in the chat. See if I can find it. I did a whole video on buying used cars. Sure, this. All right, there we go. If you guys want to check out how to buy a good used car, I did a whole video on this. I want to say it was about a month ago or something like that. You guys can go check out that video after this one. You guys can see exactly what you need to look for when buying a used car. There were some pieces in that video that were good knowledge to have before going to buy. There's some stuff I'm talking to you here now that are specific to import cars. So just buying an import already adds another layer of service you guys need to be aware of. Knowing this ahead of time, you guys can prepare going in. Hey, this car is going to cost me $20,000. This car is over a 10-year-old car. This car is also going to have a higher level of maintenance that I need. So do I want to make that decision? Do I want to pull the plug on buying that car? So that video will help you with more of the domestic side of things and trouble things you should look out for when buying the car. This kind of gives you an idea on what foreign cars are going to be like. There's a lot more coming for this car, guys. We've been given this one to work on probably for a few weeks. So we're going to have more to do. There's going to be a lot more coming up. Check a few things out here, and then we're going to get back into this project. All right. Still low on one of the chats, guys. I'm going to keep this rolling, though. Guys, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button if you're new here. We do this every Sunday at 1 p.m. I bring you guys along for the ride. We do a bunch of repairs. So where are we at? Not putting oil in today. Getting a new drain plug and a new seal. Then I'll put the drain plug back in it and then fill it back up. I'll show you guys where we fill it up. We already talked about the oil that we're putting in it. We're putting a 5W40, which is required by the owner's manual and by my parts store. My parts store is also verified that we have the right oil code for this engine. They typed in the engine. They got the specific manufacturer requirement on the oil, so we got the right oil. This will require 7.2 liters of oil. Basically, 7 quarts. You got to buy 8 to make sure you got enough to fill it back up and to fill the filter. So we got 8 quarts of this oil to be able to do this oil change. We got the right oil. Next, let's talk about the filters, guys. All right, so when it comes to filters, I usually go with the higher grade filter. I don't use the silver in Napa filters. I don't like them. They're not as good a quality. I use the gold filters. Not had any problems with my customers having issues. So this is what I go with. So gold filter for the oil, gold filter for the air filter, for the engine, and I do the Enviro Shield for the cabin air filters. It has a little bit better filtration and it catches more materials, so you don't get allergens and other pollutants from outside into your passenger compartment while you're driving. This also helps keep your interior a lot cleaner because you're not getting dust in there. If you notice that you're getting a bunch of dust in your car, it's because you haven't changed this filter. Some cars have these filters, some don't. We already talked about this in the beginning of the video, guys. Beginning of the video, I talked to you guys about vehicles that don't have filters. Usually older ones will not have them. Even Malibu Steel does not have an cabin air filter, meaning we don't have a filter to change. This car does. This car needs a filter change. I will show you guys. So prior to starting today, I accessed where these filters were because I wanted to make sure that I got everything the way I needed it before starting the video. This is a new filter in its plastic, and it's designed to not have dirt and contaminants get trapped in it. This is the old filter. This is the clean side, which goes towards the passengers. That's the dirty side. This is dirty and needs to be replaced. If you're getting a whole bunch of contaminants in your interior or you're noticing funny smells, this is a good place to start. The other thing that causes smells is when you constantly run your air conditioner, you shut the car off. If you're holding water inside for your air conditioner, it's getting trapped in your air box and not venting out, what happens is it gets mold inside that air box. You can eliminate a lot of that moisture by turning your heat on for about a minute before you shut the car off. Yes, it's going to get hot, but anytime I smell mold or mildew in an interior, usually the drain plug for the air box is plugged and it needs to be cleaned out. As long as you clean that out, it'll drain the water out. You don't need to worry about getting that funny smell. But this does provide a stench into the interior, especially for how dirty this one is. This does need to be replaced. To access this filter, you'll go passenger compartment. Underneath the kick panel, there's going to be a tray. Tray has 2 bolts that hold that cover on. Up underneath that cover is where this filter sits. So the reason I'm not going to show you guys putting this one in is because I'm going to verify with the customer that they want to use this filter. They might choose to use a cheaper filter. I don't recommend it, but they can do that. That's their choice. Again, I usually go for the higher grade filters when it comes to interiors because I don't like having pollen, pollutants, all that stuff coming into the vehicle. Oftentimes, cheap filters like this do a horrible job about even trapping dust. And when the dust gets into the blower motors, it usually wrecks the bearings inside the motor. So putting a good filter in does make a difference. This one will not have that problem. All right, so the engine air filter is roughly the same setup. I'm putting this one back in the box so I can show them before I put it in. All right, let's do this right now. Give me ones in the chat if you guys want me to show you guys the location of that cabin air filter and how it's held in there. Give me ones if you guys want to see it. 14 of you guys in here. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. Do this every Sunday at 1 p.m. Right, ones if you guys want to see where the cabin air filter is and how to change it. Okay. So one. Let's get 4 more ones in here, guys. Don't ask for super chats. I do read all super chats though, so if you guys do super chat stuff in, I will read them on screen. All right, so this is the engine air filter. This one's nice and super clean. Let me grab the other one. This is our other filter. No bueno. This is bad. We don't put this back in anytime you guys are doing a service. This has an impact on fuel mileage. It also affects sensors, meaning that if you decide to keep running a filter like this, you could wind up having to clean out a mass airflow sensor or having dirty throttle bodies. This is important to change. Changing this filter out, you can get cleaner air into the engine and get much better fuel mileage. So we don't rerun those when they get like that. They get tossed and we put in a new one. How can you guys test these if they look marginal? One way to check them is to put a light behind it. You guys have seen me do this before. Put a light behind it, you'll see the light on this side when you move the light back and forth. If you can't see that light, you can't get air through. It's a quick way to check it. So I'm gonna bring you guys over and we're gonna slide a new filter in this air box and put this air box back together. I'll show you guys what I pulled apart to get that air filter out and what you gotta do to get it put back in. Okay, so working with a tripod here. Okay, so here's our air box lid. we had to unhook this from the intake tube. There is a flat screwdriver bit on this hose clamp that holds it on to this pipe. This is what holds this together. We undid this and pushed this back. We undid this hose off of the air box, which was located right here, so that we could slide this box up and out, giving us room to now slide our filter in between here. We can set our new filter down, slide our air box on, and then hook all of this back up. So this is what I'm going to work on right now. Get you guys in a spot that you guys can see what I'm doing. And the camera stays put. Gotta do some stuff to kind of protect my camera here. I don't want that camera falling. There we go. All right, slide this back in. All right, guys, ones if you want to see the cabin air filter, twos if you don't. Get up the chat now. So we're gonna slide this in between the gap without tearing the filter. Okay, once we get it set down in there, we're going to make sure we line it up where the filter sits down in. Before we grab the lid of our air box and line it up down below. So there's going to be fingers in there, and those fingers will grab on to a slot. So when you slide it down in, they grab on and lock the box together. That's how they work. You want to get the bottom of it down all the way before you pull it towards to close the air box off. So we do have tabs up on the top up here. You guys see me pushing these tabs up out of the way. One corner of the air box is fighting me. This happens. I knew that was going to happen. That's why I tried to secure the camera before I got too carried away. Okay, so what you do is wiggle it down into place until it slides in and it's nice and tight. Then you can secure your snap clips. If you secure the snap clips without this being lined up, you don't have a tight seal here. Super, super important to make sure you get that where it needs to be. Next, we slide our tube on right here, and we re-secure the hose clamp that's right here. Secure that with the flat screwdriver. Okay, so now that we got that, we did disconnect a clip right here. So we're going to re-secure this clip. We're going to slide this tab down into the air box right here, like so. Now the only thing I did is I took another clip off down here that was for a coolant hose. And it was designed to hold the hose to a drain hose on our box. So I'm gonna move you guys closer so you guys can see this part. Okay, so down here, there is a little clip that goes around this hose right here. You need to remove this clip and it just pops off. So, like so, it pops off. Trying to get you guys a good view here. Maybe if I just bring you guys all the way down in here. Okay, so right here is this clip. Right here is the hose that it has to attach to. This is a coolant hose. These two are designed to be clipped together so that it secures. So there you go. This is how you would change the air filter in this box. So just know this is part of the process when you guys are doing this filter. European cars require a lot more maintenance. You have to do a lot more things, take a lot more things apart in order for it to actually fix what you're trying to do. Again, that's the same with the shield down below for the oil. A lot more things to take apart because that's how the newer cars are designed. You'll need to take things out of the way in order to gain access to what you're actually working on. All right, let me check the chats. All right. I don't think I missed Game On coming in, but if I did, hi, Game On. Good to have you in here. Just checking the chats for you guys quick. Sit you guys back. All right, so next we're gonna pull our engine oil filter. Again, this one is that 36 millimeter. And I only have the 36 on a 1/2-inch drive, so that's what we're gonna use. Sometimes when you pull these, you actually get more oil draining out because it's also relieving any pressure drives the oil inside the engine, so it may drain oil out. Also, you're going to want to catch can to put this filter in the minute you go to lift this out of here, so you don't drip oil in the engine compartment. It's important not to spill oil inside the engine. There is a lot of hot components. You don't want this oil getting in a place that it's not supposed to be. So I just put it in a pan like this. This is our filter. It's an oil bath filter. I absolutely hate this style because they don't filter very well. This is our housing. Now, we do have some seals that came with this, so we're going to have to see if there's seals on the inside of here, and we're going to need to check if the seals are inside there. We do need to replace those seals. That is part of the filter when I bought it, so it's important to replace those seals. I think there's one down inside here, so we can get that with a pick tool. And there's a few drops of oil, so we're going to wipe that up quick. Let it run down into the engine. Okay, I'll bring you guys in close so you guys can get a look at this. Okay, that's where your filter goes, right there. So we have to check for seals because this box has 2 different seals in it. We need to make sure that we replace all the seals because we don't want this housing to leak oil. Again, if it does leak oil, what's going to happen is it could run down hot components such as an exhaust or something like that and create a fire. We do not want that, so we will be replacing the seals that are inside of this filter. All right, how many do we got in here now? Let's check how many people are here. 27 of you guys in here. Make sure you guys hit that like button. We do this every Saturday, or Sunday, sorry. We were Saturday, every Sunday at 1 p.m. Central. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. Help us build the channel. Okay, so now that we got that out, what we're going to do is replace that seal. I'm taking a little bit more time. Normally I could speed through this process. I could do a couple of different things at a time. But because I'm trying to show you guys everything, I'm slowing down. One thing to know when you guys take these apart is look inside here and see what comes with the kit. Okay, so inside this, we have our filter. We're going to compare this to our other one, make sure it's the same length. Everything looks the same. Also came with these seals. These are the seals that I'm talking about. These are the ones that we have to replace. It looks like both of them go on the lid, but we won't know that until we get the lid cleaned up and start peeling that lid apart. We can use a pick tool to get in there and take them out. All right, so here is our housing. Inside of our housing, I know that there's one seal right here. We do need to get underneath that seal and lift that seal out. What I don't know is if there's another seal underneath that, and that's what that red one is, or if that seal is located somewhere else. Okay. Is plastic tab. Just saw. Okay. Here is that seal. This is the one that was in the bag. We still have one more seal we have to locate. These are designed to hold tight so it doesn't leak oil. So what I'm doing is checking for that secondary seal now. See where that is. Sometimes they include seals because the filters are for other vehicles. So this is something that you do want to ask the auto parts store. This is why we open all boxes at the auto parts store. We don't just assume that we have all the right stuff. We open it at the store so that if we have any questions, we can ask while we're there. So I'm not seeing another seal inside of this housing. There is no other seal down inside there. So what this tells me is the red seal in this bag is for a different car. These filters are good for different vehicles, meaning that they could have different seal setups, and they just include a seal bag that has all the same seals in it. So that is an option. You guys got any questions or chats of your own? Make sure you guys chat those in. And I will read those on screen and see if I can help you guys with your problems. We're gonna get this filter changed out and put a new seal in it. And I'll show you guys the cabin air filter. And then I'm gonna talk about the rest of the fluids before I get into the news. So the way this tab was located is this tab was on the inside. This is done like this, so that we can pull this tab out. If we flip it upside down, it won't stay in there. So we want to put it in there to where the seal will go down, stay inside the cup the way it belongs, so that the tab is easy for us to grab. So we want to be able to change this next time. You guys got any questions? Chat them in down below. We'll read them on screen. So next we slide our filter on, and the filter usually clips into place. Checking to see if this one clips in or if it just sits down. Again, these are oil bath filters. I'm never a fan of the oil bath. So this one just clips on when you press it down. It's clipped into place. Tip it upside down, nothing falls out. Seal is down inside there. I can see it all the way down. Now I can drop this back inside and tighten it up. So I tighten it by hand first. It also helps get it down closer so I don't have to really crank on it hard when I'm tightening it up. Again, these are plastic housings and you will plastic fitting. We don't need to get super carried away and over tighten this. Right there. That's tight. So if we over tighten plastic on plastic, what'll happen is we'll crack it. So be careful. This is overkill. This could go way too tight and I could snap a lot of stuff. The reason I'm using it is because this is what I have. Meaning that I'm not gonna put my full weight into this bar. This would be way too much and I would snap the housing. One way to check to make sure that it's all the way down is check by sticking your finger down in there, making sure that it's fully seated. If you question it, you can back it off a little bit and then go back again tight. So that's another way to check. See how hard it is. So loosen it up. So that's good. Don't need to worry about that. That's tight. All right, so you guys want to know where the cabin air filter is located. So this is going to take a little bit for me to move some things around to be able to get back there. Get you guys in there and we'll take a look at it. All right, so I'm gonna bring you guys around and then we'll get in there. It's a little tricky because I only got so much quart to play around with. And I care about customers' vehicles, so I don't want to scratch their vehicle. Okay, so we're on the passenger side. We're going to open the door. We're going to see some things that are taken apart. You guys will see where that slot is. Show you guys. I'm also going to grab a flashlight so you guys can see in there. underneath here, let me grab some light so you guys can see what's going on. Okay, here's some light. All right, so what we're looking at right now, this is the open slot for where that air filter goes. This is the cover that goes over the top. That cover goes in like this. That's how the cover goes in. There's two set screws, one back here and one up here in this corner, that hold this on. The filter slides in right through here. Airflow goes towards the driver's side. So when looking at the filter, we want the arrow to be pointed towards the firewall, that way, towards the driver's side. Give me ones if that makes sense to you guys. Ones if everything that I just explained makes sense. This is your cabin air filter. On an Audi Q7, 2014. When you're taking this panel out right here, this panel has pop clips. One here, and one here. You just grab from underneath through here, pull this panel down. Be careful, there's usually a light hooked up right here. Now, they've changed this filter in the past, and they did not reconnect that wire. So when I took this down, that wire was not connected. When I put it back together, that wire will be connected. All right. Jay, good to have you back. Move our little setup back here, guys. So that's our cabin air filter. So like I said, cabin air filter, it's pretty easy to change. Just have to take that bottom tray out. Once you've taken that tray out, you're good to go. Very simple to do. Does not take very long at all. Usually basic hand tools. I believe it was a 5.5 millimeter socket that I used to take it out. So 5.5 millimeter socket. Used a quarter drive ratchet because I don't want to over tighten anything. Took the two set screws out, moved that tray out of the way, the filter came down. I did have to go in there with my pick tool, turn it sideways on the bottom of the filter to pull that filter down. So it went in really tight. That one is designed to seal very well. The one on the Kia, I don't think I need any tools. All I do is take the glove box down, there's a tray, slide the tray out of the way and move it up, and I can pull the filter out, slide the new one in, put the filter down, or put the lid down, slide it back into place. Again, if you're noticing a lot of dust in your interior and you have a cabin air filter, first place to start. And oftentimes when you pull it down, it's going to look nasty. Usually those are about a once a year filter. All right. You guys got any more chats? Chat them in. I actually had a really good live stream today, guys. Do have to fix the bit rates. I'm thinking some of my bit rate problems are from my router. So next week I'll plug directly into my modem and bypass my routers altogether. That way I get the cleanest internet connection I can get without having a router connected between them. Jay, W Stream. Thank you, Jay. Good to have you in here. All right. So one thing I should run through with you guys before we move into the news, where are all the fluids located? What do you got to put into them? Here's the thing. Some of them, the caps will tell you what kind of fluid to put in it. The ones you're going to have to refer to your owner's manual or talk to your shop that is selling you the parts. Talk to the parts store. Make sure you get the right stuff. Look it up online. You can look. Any of this stuff can be searched up on Google. Any of it. You can find all the stuff you need to know about your car online. It's all there already. What you need to know is that you're putting the right materials into it, the right products, the right fluids into it, because the wrong fluids will destroy a lot of stuff. Let's talk about one right now. So I'm going to bring you guys up here so you guys can see what's going on. Right here, this is for power steering. This one right here. This requires a neutral hydraulic fluid, meaning that if you just put a standard power steering fluid in it, you could potentially wreck your power steering pump. So make sure that you have the right stuff. Make sure that it's full. Always check every fluid, every service. Don't skip a fluid. If there's a way to check it, such as a dipstick, sometimes there'll be a transmission dipstick, sometimes there won't. Always check every fluid every time. For the brakes on this car, right here, there's something that says pull. Right here is where your brake fluid is on a 2014 Audi Q7. I have not taken these out, but I have a feeling that underneath here are your fuses. Audi hides their fuse panels extremely well. They don't need to, but that's what they do. The fuse panel is always an afterthought on an Audi. It's never the first thought. On all other cars, usually the fuse panels are very easy to get to. Audis will sometimes bury these fuse panels down below many different components. So on newer models, this fuse panel is actually buried below a windshield washer fluid bottle that you have to remove. Again, located in roughly the same area. But what they did is on the newer ones, they moved the brake down. They moved the washer fluid bottle underneath here. Sometimes that fluid gets spilled. It goes into a computer that's located over in this corner. It goes into the fuse panel located under this corner. Really, really, really bad design. So, again, you get this with European vehicles. So, just know that this is the way of things. When you deal with European vehicles, things may not be located in such a nice, clean place to protect components. Something to keep in mind, especially when you're dumping windshield washer fluid in. That stuff can be very corrosive. So here is our windshield washer. It's full. We can see it in the sight glass here. So we know we're good there. Here is our coolant. So this is engine coolant. Inside here, there is a valve that says whether it's full or if it's below minimum. I'm gonna bring you guys around so you can see it. All right, see that little yellow tab down in there? That tells you whether your coolant is full or if it's below minimum. It needs to be somewhere in between. You don't want to overfill because it's just going to puke it back out anyway. So make sure that it's at least at in between those levels. This one is there, but I will double check it when it's flat on the ground. So these are our levels. These are our coolants, our windshield washer fluids, our brake fluids, our power steering fluids. This is where all this stuff is located. And this one has a click to it. When you're turning it, you'll feel it click into place and it'll stop moving. Don't force it once it stops moving. Also, don't take that off when it's hot. This is a bad design. If you try to remove this when it's hot, it will completely pop off of here and you will get sprayed with coolant. Hot coolant, by the way. All right. Give me ones if everything makes sense, if I covered everything. Two, if I didn't, and what would you like to see? Ones if everything made sense. Twos if it doesn't, and what did I miss? Don't you guys dare say windshield washer. One from Jay. That's awesome. So the only thing left to check when you're doing your service is check your tire air pressures, check your suspension. Make sure that none of your suspension is loose. You can do this real easy. It's what we call the shake test. So what you can do, shake it. What you're doing is you're checking tie rod ends, you're checking upper and lower ball joints, you're checking to make sure that that stuff is good. The other thing you want to do is get underneath the vehicle, look at the CV axles, make sure the boots aren't torn on the CV axles. As long as those boots are solid, good on your suspension components. Check your tire tread depth, that your tires have enough tread to be on the road. That means you need 4 30-seconds up front, 2 30-seconds in the rear. If they're below those marks, you need to replace your tires. It's not safe to drive on them if you're below 2 30-seconds. This car is getting close. It's going to need them by probably late fall. They do want to put a set of all-terrains on this car because it is an all-wheel drive car. And it makes more sense to have a set of all-terrains on it so that they can get through snow. The other thing is we want to check air pressure. Make sure that all the tires have the same air pressure and that we're not overinflated. Let me cover air pressures here real quick. So air pressures have changed. What we used to think was max pressure on the tire, it's somewhat been downgraded. So if your tires say 51 on the side of the tire, I've shown you guys this before. It says 51 on the side of the tire, that's maximum air pressure. Most tires nowadays are designed to be ran between the 34 to 38 PSI. If you want to have less rolling resistance and use less fuel mileage, keep it closer to the 38. Now the tire will get warm as it drives down the road, which means it will increase and slightly overinflate. You don't want it to go over that 51 even when the tire's hot. That is the cutoff point for a tire being at a point that it could be damaged. Just know that don't ever exceed the maximum pressure on the tire, even when it's hot. So good way to test that is if you do decide to take a long road trip, set your tire pressures where you normally do, but then stop every once in a while and check your tires. Usually about halfway through the first fill up, I'll usually do a stop somewhere, do a walk around, make sure everything looks good. Sometimes you can take a tire gauge and check the tire pressure. That's one way to do it. But again, make sure that you're not overinflating your tires. Generally, 34 to 38, sometimes 40 if you're running like load range E tires are different. Allow me to get into that. Load range E tires are a different setup. So a load range E will want a lot more air pressure because it's designed for pulling trailers and heavier loads. So heavier loads require more air pressure in the tire to make sure that the vehicle is not running flat on the tire. It needs a lot more air to hold the weight. That being said, they can be as much as 65 pounds on a load range E tire. Again, check your vehicle, check your tires. Don't exceed the maximum pressure on the side of the tire. So some of the load range E's can go up to 80 pounds. Usually I'll run them max 65. That's where load range E tires are usually pretty happy, is around that 60, 65 range. But check your tires, check the manufacturer, check all of that stuff out and put it at the right tire pressure. Do that for every service and check your tires at every service, because sometimes you can catch something at a service. I've done this before where I've been servicing a customer's vehicle, check their tires. All of a sudden I find a nail that had I not checked the tire, they would have drove it out, and not more than a week or two later, they would have had a flat tire. I was able to catch it and patch it for them so that they didn't have any issues. Always, always, always do a full service anytime you're doing an oil change. It isn't just dropping your oil and putting a filter on it and sending it down the road. Don't do that. It's really bad for the vehicle. It can put you in dangerous positions. Always, always, always fully check out your vehicle. Lights, your suspension, your tires, and all of your fluids. Every single time. You do that, and you do 9 times better than some of those quick change oil places. And that makes all the difference for longevity and safety while you're on the road. Knowing that you're not going to have a breakdown is a nice peace of mind to have. All right. So checking everything out here, guys. All right. So I like that I was able to stream for you guys today and not have things dropping off. This has been a really good stream. We've got some news coming up here in just a little bit. And then we're going to go ahead and probably wrap it up after the news. So it's been a really good stream. Guys, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and the notification bell so you get notified when we go live, which is every Sunday at 1 p.m. So next Sunday, what we're going to have, for all the people that stuck around before the news, give you guys a sneak peek. We're either going to be doing the belt system on this car, or we're going to be doing a service on our Kia Soul. Unlikely it's probably going to be the service on the Kia Soul because I need to talk to the customer about some of the stuff that we need to do to this before we really start digging any deeper. Again, this is why I haven't put some stuff back together, and some of the stuff I found we're stopping because I need to have conversations with the customer. We don't just put this back in without talking to the customer. We also don't put it back in if we don't think it's safe. So if I'm going to bring that up to the customer and explain to them, here's the deal. I can put that bad plug in it. Next time I might not get it out. Your call. Next time, if I can't get it out, this is how much it's going to cost you. So those are things to know ahead of time. If you're doing it yourself and you don't like how that plug feels, stop, get a new plug, then put it back together. Don't push through. Think I'll put it back together and I'll worry about it next time. That's what shitty repair shops do, is they'll not inform the customer, hey, your drain plug has been rounded a few times. There's a risk that next time we may not be able to get it out. We can either go ahead and replace it now and then retorque it back in the proper way to know that we're not going to strip it out, Or we can put it back in and you can take your chances. Your call. But you do need to give that back to the customer and let them decide. Awesome. Like I said, next time I want to get some screen sharing stuff figured out for you guys so that we can share, or I can do the share screen for the news. So that's something that I want to bring to you guys next time we go live here. I do like the layout and how the views have not really kind of gotten tapered off or hurt by us streaming this way. I'm able to stream really good, so this is awesome. And I'll work on getting the chats put in down below the video so it looks cleaner. Now that I know that we have the room there, I can play around with that a little bit. Okay, so first on the news cycle, they're saying that the brand new Corvette ZR1 is absolutely absurd. The reason that this is happening, guys, you know I look at Motor Trend. That's what I got. So they're saying that it's 1,000 horsepower and it's $175,000 for the car. And they're saying it's a handful to drive because of how fast it is. These are all pretty lame excuses of why this isn't one of the world's top supercars. In my mind, it's a top supercar. The new Corvette ZR1 is a straight up monster right out of the box. And you don't need to do anything to. There's a reason it costs $175,000. And let's put it into comparison, guys. So when we deal with like the Audi RX-8s, they're considered a supercar. Not a sports car, they're a supercar. Those are cars that go well over 200 miles an hour. Corvette is on the same pace as them. An RX-8, probably used, is going to run you more than a brand new Corvette. So for the price point, they're building supercars that are actually more affordable than the European sports car or supercars. It has set land speed records at some of the world's most famous tracks already. And it is a twin turbo LT7 engine, which is an absolute animal of an engine when it comes to, even if it was naturally aspirated, that thing would be a knockdown, drag out motor. I bet without the twin turbos on it, that thing is probably pulling well over 600 some horse without turbo. And then it being twin turbo makes it even faster. But I think just base model engine is probably pulling over 700 horsepower, just off of base motor alone, no supercharged or turbos. The issue with the car is most of it is very lightweight, meaning that if you get into an accident with it, it's not good. Again, this is a supercar thing. A lot of supercar cars either have poly parts or have carbon fiber parts. Fiber is designed to be lighter. The issue with all of that is when you crash, most likely you're not coming back. So that is what it is. All right, so let's continue down. There's something in the news cycle about the best-selling cars in certain states. Honda CR-V was best in Connecticut, Delaware, Illinois, Indiana, Maryland, Minnesota, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Virginia, and Wisconsin. So in those states, those were the best-selling cars. Ford F-150 was in Kansas, Louisiana, Michigan, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, New Mexico, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Texas, and Wyoming. So basically through the Midwest minus Iowa, Minnesota was the Ford F-150. Toyota RAV4 was in Florida, Georgia, Ohio, Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Oregon, Rhode Island, and Vermont. So this would have been upper northeast and southern east. Mainly East Coast on those. Tesla Model Y, for no reason that we're not shocked of. It was Arizona, California, Colorado, Nevada. New Jersey was the rare one, Utah, and Washington. So mainly South and West Coast. Chevy Silverado is rated #1 for sales in Alaska, Iowa, Kentucky, and West Virginia. And then the Nissan Rogue was for Tennessee. Toyota Camry in Alabama. GMC Sierra in Arkansas. And Toyota Tacoma in Hawaii. That rounded it out. Okay, so why would Toyota Tacoma be so popular in Hawaii? Well, it's much closer to be able to ship the cars to Hawaii than it is to ship them to the US. Meaning that when those come out of the manufacturing plants, it's a lot closer shipping, so a lot less cost. Probably why we see more Toyota Tacomas in Hawaii. Why is the Toyota Camry in Alabama? That one is just probably more of the retirement community. Those are a very popular car for retirement communities. Nissan Rogue is basically like an SUV, but if you want one, go to Tennessee. Silverado. I see a lot of Silverados in the Midwest. It's not just Iowa and Kentucky, but I see a lot of them in the Midwest area. So I think the numbers there, I think the F-150 has fallen back a little bit. I'm not 100% on the F-150 and their sales area. I think the recalls have hurt Ford dramatically with all the massive recalls that they've had. I think Chevy has kind of overtaken them in quite a few spots. Again, I don't trust everything that comes out of Motor Trend, guys. But it's always good to look and see who's, what's going on the other side of things. So here, 1 million Fords are recalled for backup camera blackout issues. That's on the F-150. It's recalls like that that make the prior list that we talked about kind of invalid, meaning that they're probably going off of old sales numbers from a year or two ago. They're not going off of current sales. Looks like there's going to be a new 8th gen Toyota Celica, and they are considering a gas engine option for it. Give me ones in the chat right now if you guys like this news section, so I know if I should keep doing news. Ones if you guys like the news. So the views have fallen off a little bit. So definitely getting time for us to wrap up the stream here shortly. Ones if you guys like the news. I'm waiting for some ones. I'm going to file through here. The Toyota Supra is dead, guys. They have killed off the Toyota Supra. but they think it'll be back next year. So Toyota has a final edition in 2026, a GTR Supra, but they don't think it's going to be away that much longer. The issue that I see with the Supra is that they may try to bring this back as an EV supercar. And if they do, probably not going to be a fan of it. Jay with the big one. Yeah, they're trying the new Supra. They're trying to get it out there to try to push this last push for the Celica. And it's not only the Celica, but it's also the Supra. So they're trying to do big push on these two cars. And honestly, if they brought it in at a very attractive price point for the US market, it would actually drive more people towards the brand. They don't really have competition. Ford isn't making anything like that. Chevy's not making anything like that. Dodge is definitely not making anything like that, not yet. That being said, in the news cycle this week, there was some stuff coming out of the Dodge, Jeep, and Ram camp. And that is that big things are coming. There's talks of the Hemi going back in. There's also talks of a TRX coming for the Ram side of things. So we're going to see the lineups late 2025 for the new Ram side of things. We'll be able to see what they're going to decide to do, what they're going to keep. I'm hoping that they shelf a lot of the EV stuff and they go more traditional gas engine, but that remains to be seen. We don't know if they're going to bring back the supercharged Hemi. That is something that we are all hoping for, especially in the options of the TRX, but they still are talking about keeping the inline twin turbo, what do they call that? The Huracan motor. So they are talking about keeping that as an option. Not necessarily the best bet because you're pushing that 6-cylinder to its max all the time. But we will see if they decide to correct course on that. Hopefully they play their cards right and they correct course on it and get that fixed. Just checking the news cycle, going back, making sure we're back on par with everything. Okay, yeah, I'm back to last week where we talked about the Wiener races, the 6 Oscar Mayer Wiener mobiles that raced, and then Tesla owners make shifting their doors to open them in case of emergencies. So guys, really, I hope this was a really good live stream for all of you guys. It's the first time checking us out. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Make sure you guys ring that notification bell. We do this every Sunday at 1 p.m. We'll be back next week. We're either doing a service on our Kia Soul Champagne Bubbles, or we're going to be digging into the belt system on this car. I'm going to finish up the rest of this service because I showed you guys what we need to do. Show you guys. I won't waste your guys' time on the oil change now for the rest of this. I'll get this put together, and we're either going to do the belt system on this. We're going to get into the oil change on that. So guys, I want to say thank you for all your support today. Thank you guys for hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button, ringing that notification bell so you get notified when we go live, which is every Sunday at 1 p.m. If you guys haven't became a member, consider joining the membership program where we are also doing more videos for you guys. We're dropping early content stuff for you guys. And when we develop our merch, we're going to also have discounts for our members in the merch section. So you'll get discounts on merch. We're also trying to build the merch store for you guys for the future. So make sure you guys are supporting the channel and help us out. As always, guys, I want to thank you for this awesome Sunday.